This conference will now be recorded.
So, anyone having any doubts in the rule set configuration? Nothing? Right. So, did anyone check
Jyotika
to?
should ask you this.
Yeah. So, yes. So, Naidu or Yogesh, who is asking? I did not see.
I think Naidu and Shrikant.
Yeah, Shrikant, what is the doubt? I did not hear properly. You have asked something. Okay, right. So let's try to perform the risk analysis. Okay. So to perform risk analysis, go for NWBC. Hope so the data was synchronized. Okay. This is not a user I supposed to use. Close this. Close this. Yeah. Right. So going to the user ID and going to the transaction code NWBC, okay, and log in into the Google Chrome. Did anyone try to perform the risk analysis? Because I have not yet verified. I did not get a chance today. So little busy with my meetings. I did not once again try synchronization or nothing. I didn't try. Okay, let's do it. So going for the access management. So in the access management, going for the user level risk analysis. Okay. So in the user level risk analysis, firstly, I am going with the system. Select the system which you require. So it's the GRC S4 HANA or something. Yeah, it's the GRC S4 HANA is the system. Followed by the user data. We need to go here and search for yesterday. I think we did not get just a second. Yeah. So we require a user ID we are having. Search for it. So this is the user ID which we have created yesterday. Air India underscore ARA. And here we are going for the rule set. Whatever rule set you have created yesterday. What is this one? Rule set for Air India project is the rule set which we have created. And go for the summary or any of the thing you can go. We will change it later. Any of the format. And going for the action level, permission level. And just go for run in foreground. So these are the different types of risk we have got. So total, how many risks we have got? Like so first thing is how can I display the risk? So here the view is uh, somewhat not the clarity. So how can I do it is through the rule ID. So every rule ID is repeated two times. So check here rule ID first two columns rule ID 001 001. So what is the conflict due to SCC1 and SU01? In the same way, we are getting multiple conflicts here. So now I am going for the different view. Now going for the executive summary view. So total how many risks I am getting or total how many conflicts I am getting? Six conflicts I am totally getting by this user. Okay. So you can go for different types of views here. Everything you are going to get. So understand carefully. This is the user ID. This is the risk ID. And this is level of risk. This is due to which function IDs we are going to get this risk ID. And these are the transaction codes responsible for getting the risk. So everything is given in detail. Here, even the role name and profile name are also you are able to display here. In the same way, you can perform the same thing for role level risk analysis. So what can I do? I can just display the I can just perform the risk analysis for any available role. So going for GRC S4 HANA is my RFC connection. So we don't have single role, no problem. Just remove it and just go for the browse option and give the role name like Z underscore Aid India. So I'm going for this selection option. So I think this is our role one, Air India R1. So by using which rule set you want to perform the risk analysis. Okay. So, rule set for Aid India project, action level, permission level, and run in foreground. You will be getting similar report only. Okay. Role type is mandatory. Someone has given this one. So, what can we do now? Just close this one and open once again. Role level risk analysis. So, so someone has put this one as a mandatory field. We can change these things. We will see later how to control these small fields like GRC S4 HANA and go for the role Z underscore age star and search for the role name Z underscore Air India and going for the rule set and perform the risk analysis. So if your system is running slowly, go in the background also, but it will take some time. So when should we run the background program is whenever the there is a long program. If when it is a long duration program, then we can use the background process. If it is a short term activity, you can run in the foreground. So these are the risks involved. Now we will perform one more activity here. Like I want to perform risk analysis for this role through a global rule set. So where is the global rule set? Here is the global rule set I am having run in the foreground. So according to global rule set, there is no risk involved for this role. Okay, so just going for the user level risk analysis one more time. So what I will be doing is this time I am going to change the user ID. I am taking a user who is having full authorization. Okay, firstly going with the connector called GRC S4 HANA, followed by the user. Instead of the customized user, I am going to take a user ID who is having full authorization and doing the same activity. Again, the rule set for India. So previously, how many risks we have got or how many conflict we have got? Six conflicts we have got. Now let us see total how many conflicts we are going to get here. Total 49 conflicts we are having here. When we are using a user who is having full authorization, or else you can just change the view, go for the summary and run in the foreground. So these are all the risks involved. So how to identify by which two things a risk is involved? By identifying the rule ID. See, if the two rule IDs are matching, so 000C, 000C, these two rule IDs are matching, means the risk is involved or you have got a conflict due to SCC3 and SU10. So this is all about the risk analysis. So anyone having any doubts still here, you can ask me. Any doubts? Is it clear till here? Till this topic, anyone having any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. So it's an important task. If someone having any doubts, you can ask me. Just a moment. My cursor was slow. It is not responding. Just adjusting my mouse. Yeah, now it is fine. So Monica, Ramya, is it? Yeah. So have you? Do you have any doubts here? No doubts? Right then. Now, proceeding to the next topic. So, after performing the risk analysis, the next step is how to remove the risk here. So, here we figured out that so you found out that you are having a problem with your bike or you are having a problem with your car. You have diagnosed it or you have found a problem in your body, like you got some back pain or you got some headache or you got some fever. So you figured out or you diagnosed some problem. So after finding the problem, what is the next step you should be taking? You should be thinking about how to resolve the issue or how to solve the problem. The same thing applies here. So, after performing risk analysis, we figured out that there are these many risks involved. Like around 49 risks we found out for this user, and for the user which we have created yesterday, there are around something like, I think, six risks or something. We are having six risks. Okay, these are the risks involved we have figured out. Now, what can we do? We should be stepping towards how to remove the risk for this user. Okay, now we found that this user is having risk and how to remove the risk. So to remove the risk, this for this user, we are having two options. Option number one, that is risk redemption. What is the option number one? Risk redemption is the option number one. So, what is meant by risk redemption? Risk redemption is nothing but removing the access for the user for which he is having a risk. So, removing the access for any transaction code for which he is having the risk. Now, just see the first conflict. So, why did we got this first conflict? But because the user have access for SCC1 and SU01. So, this user is having access for SCC1 and SU01. Now, what happens if we remove access for any one of the transaction code? I am removing access for SCC1. Now, will this user have any risk involved? If I remove access for one of the transaction code, he is having risk? Yes or no? Will he have or not? Just simple answer. So
No.
no, he is not going to have the risk here. If at all we remove it. So what we have to do is, so in the real time, it is not recommended to do the risk redemption process. Even if you do the risk redemption, immediately they are again going to raise a new access request stating that I required access for SCC1. If you say that, so this is a risky transaction code, we won't give you access, means no one is going to no one is going to just listen you. They will just raise an explanation, or else they will be telling to the team lead that So so we are unable to perform this action. Why? Because the GRC consultant removed our access. That's why we are not able to perform. Then immediately the project manager will be asking you. So why didn't you give the user access, SCC1 access to that particular user? That user is having all necessary permissions. Even though this user having all necessary permissions, why don't you give access? If you say there is a risk, there is a risk detected, I have followed the risk reduction method. No one is going to listen you. So they required access, and you should provide access. It's your headache. How, which, what is the process you follow? It does not matter to them. Only thing is you should provide access for them. Okay. So it is like if you are riding a bike on your road, there are chances of getting accident. But it's your responsibility to drive safely to your home. In the same way, so they are requesting for access. You should provide access. Only thing is you should be taking some precautionary steps, or you should be taking care. Okay, to provide safe access. So for this process, what we are going to follow is we are having the second method called mitigation. So the risk mitigation concept we are going to execute. So what is risk mitigation concept? So this risk mitigation concept, it is useful for tracking the risk. How is this risk mitigation useful? It is useful for tracking the risk. So how is this risk mitigation executed is the concept we are going to do. So, what is risk mitigation and how to provide risk mitigation, and what are the benefits of providing the risk mitigation? We are going to discuss in the today's session. Let us go and see the theory part today. And tomorrow we will be execution the risk mitigation. Firstly, we have to know how the risk mitigation is going to work. So here you are going to learn about some new terminologies called mitigation owner. Okay. And second one is the mitigation monitor. And third one is the mitigation control ID. So these are the three terminologies which you have to learn here. So what does the mitigation monitor does? For suppose previously in our example we figured out that there is a user called Air India underscore ARA user who is having some like six conflicts or six risks this user is having. Now, what we are going to do is the roles and responsibilities of each one we will see. Firstly, we will be seeing the mitigation monitor. This mitigation monitor is going to track the user who is having risk. So, who is the risky user here? Air India underscore ARA is our risky user. Now, this mitigation monitor is going to track this so and so user. So, is he going to track 24 by 7 means? No. Whenever this user executing these six conflicts or any 12 transaction codes, so, whenever this user executes any one among the 12 transaction codes, this mitigation monitor is going to track that user immediately. And second thing you have to learn is the what is the mitigation control ID. So mitigation control ID is useful to track the user with risk. And first one is the mitigation owner who is going to give approvals and rejections. So let me try to explain you in a diagrammatic representation. It will be easy for you how all these three things are going to work for you. So here we are having someone called as a user with risk. Air India, Air India underscore ARA. A user with risk we are having. So to track this risk, we are having someone called as a mitigation monitor. So this mitigation monitor is going to track this user. So can this mitigation monitor track the risky user directly? Means not at all possible. What he required is he required something called as a mitigation control ID. Okay. So mitigation monitor can track any SAP user by using the mitigation control ID only. So this is the clause. Even though you are having access for, even though you are, if this mitigation monitor want to track a user, he cannot track. Like for suppose you are the mitigation monitor in your project. So it does not mean that you can track whatever user or whoever user you want to track in your project. So what you require is something called as a mitigation control ID. Through this mitigation control ID only, the monitor can track the user with risk. Then what is the role of the mitigation owner? Okay, so mitigation owner is going to give approval for whom? He is going to give approval for the monitor. So he is going to give approval for the monitor whether to track the user or whether to have access to the control ID or not. So who is going to control the mitigation monitor? Mitigation owner is going to take the control here. So this is how it is going to work. So hope so. It is so. Hope so. You are not having any doubts here. So, having any doubt, you can ask me. This is a SAP user with a risk. So, to track this SAP user, we are having mitigation monitor. So, a mitigation can monitor or track any SAP user through the control ID only. So, which monitor can track which user is controlled by the mitigation owner itself. And one more small note point here. So, for every project, there can be multiple mitigation monitors. Okay, there can be multiple mitigation monitors. There can be multiple mitigation control IDs. Okay, but there will be only one mitigation owner in the project. Okay, only one mitigation owner in your project. So this is all about the brief introduction of mitigation owner ID, control ID, and how they are executed in the project. If anyone having any doubts here, you can ask me, or else I will be proceeding to the next topic. Anyone? Any doubt? Yes, hope so you understood. Now, let us see how to perform this execution. The execution part is very much simple. So, firstly, we have to create something like this. So, step by step execution, I will explain. Firstly, we need to create organizational unit. So organizational unit for mitigation process. So for particularly execution the mitigation related activities, we required a separate organizational unit. And next step is creating the mitigation owner. And next step is creating a mitigation monitor. And next step is creating a mitigation control ID. So this is up to creation process. So after creation is done, the next step would be assignment. So what are the assignment we have to do? We have to just a moment. So yeah. So we have to assign the organizational unit to the mitigation control ID. So this is necessary. Organizational unit to mitigation control ID we need to assign. Okay. The next step will be assigning the mitigation owner to the control ID. This is the next step we have to provide. Assigning the mitigation owner to the control ID. This is the step we need to perform here. Okay. Assign the mitigation owner to the control ID is the activity which we need to perform in the step 2. And next step will be assigning the mitigation monitor to the control ID. This is the step. So we need to perform all these steps one by one. So after doing all these things, then only we can start our execution. So first create organizational unit, next create mitigation owner, next create monitor, next create control ID, later assign. So after creating all the things, the next step will be assign organization to control ID and assign owner to control ID. And next step is assign monitor to control ID. So we should be doing our execution in this way. After this configuration is done, then only we can execute the mitigation concept. So if anyone having any doubts in the theory, you can ask me or else I will be starting the execution of mitigation. Anyone?
Sir, we have
Yes.
to perform regularly, or this is one time activity, sir.
Which one?
Creation of
Risk
mitigation
analysis
control
or
ID.
mitigation? Which one you are asking?
Mitigation control ID creation, these things.
No, no. Creation will be like it's a not a regular activity. So it's like a whenever it's necessary. Mostly it's a not like a regular activity. Once in a while we will be doing, but assigning the mitigation control ID is a regular activity. Whenever we find a risk, so risk analysis is a day-to-day activity. So whenever a new user or a new role is created, it is mandatory thing to perform the risk analysis. If at all we find a risk, so most of the scenarios in every role or for every user, we will find some type of risk in most of the scenarios. So whenever we find a risk, then compulsorily we will be assigning the mitigation control ID. So if your question is it a regular activity? So creating and doing this mitigation configuration is not a regular activity, but assigning them or assigning the control ID and execution of mitigation is a regular activity. Okay.
Okay, okay,
Configuration is not a regular activity, but implementation is a regular activity, we can say.
okay.
Okay.
It's clear. It's clear.
Ye- Yes, okay, right. So let us start the execution now. So anyone having any other doubts? Right then. So let us start the execution. Firstly, we have to create something called as a organizational unit. So where can we create a organizational unit? Simply go for the transaction code SPRO. In the SPRO, go for GRC access control. So sorry, not in the access control. This will be available in the shared master data. And here go for create root organization hierarchy. Okay. So select the organizational view. You will be having only one hierarchy. So select that standard hierarchy and create the organizational unit. So I am creating something like Tata Group. Okay. And sub-organization or the child organization, I am giving something like Tata Motors. I am creating in this way and create the organization unit in this way. So when you execute here, so let me complete the task first. So once the organization unit is created, we have to check in the NWBC whether the organization is created or not. So first let's wait for the moment to complete the task. The system is taking time. So root has been created successfully. So where we have to check whether the data is created or not in NWBC. What you can do is once come to my home. Okay, refresh the data. It's always mandatory thing. Whenever you do something related to NWBC to check the updated data, always do the refresh. So it's in the setup, sorry, not in the my home. In the setup, come to the organization. So in the organization folder, go for the organizations. So here the thing which you have created must be available. So this is the organizational unit, Tata Group and Tata Motors. So our organizational unit has been created successfully. Don't do anything here, not required. So what is the next task here? Create a mitigation owner. So where do we need to create a mitigation owner? Again, the same task in SU01. Yesterday, or I think on day before yesterday, we have created something called as a risk owner. The same steps will be followed. Only thing is, instead of role owner, we are going to, sorry, instead of risk owner, we are going to assign the mitigation owner role. That's it. Okay. Firstly, create a user ID. So something I'm going to create like Krishna underscore MITO. Okay. And create and go for the last name mitigation owner and give the last name here. Sorry, last name and the password. So I'm giving a password. So after giving last name and password, go for the roles and search for the access control roles. Star GRAC star. Okay, and go for the browse option here. So browse the roles and search for the mitigation owner roles. So just scroll down. So here we are having SAP GRAC control owner. Create access control mitigation control, not this one. Yeah, this one. So SAP GRAC control approver. So approver or the owner, both the things are same. Okay, they are not different. Both the things are same here. Okay, so just give this one. So what are the rules of mitigation? So by assigning this role, what are the authorization you are providing? Create access control for mitigation control, approve, assign, alert, perform risk analysis. So approver or the owner, both the terms are same. Don't confuse between these things. So after assigning the mitigation owner, so actually, yeah, it's okay. I think in the latest the one, the name was changed. So my mistake, let me correct me. It's this role only we should be giving SAP GRAC control owner. They have edited this one. That's it. So control one only we should be assigning here. This is the one we should be assigning. So remove the old one which we have assigned, not required. So all the approval authorizations will be also available in the owner ID itself. So go for star GRAC. So my mistake, let me correct myself. So this is the role which we required. SAP GRAC control owner ID is the one which we required. So after assigning the mitigation control owner role, what are the other roles we need to assign? Common GRC roles, star GRC star. Just browse the data and assign the common GRC rules. Those are power user, base role, business user, display, and GRC and WBC. So by assigning these roles, we can use this particular user ID in NWBC also. So we have created a mitigation owner. Next step is create a mitigation monitor. So where are we going to do? Here itself. So MITM. Krishna underscore MITM and give the last name as mitigation monitor. Okay. And go for the logon data and just give a password here. So after giving the password, go for the roles and assign a role that is related to mitigation monitor. So go for star GRAC star access control roles. You have to browse here and search for the role called SAP GRAC control monitor. Ability to assign mitigation control risk and perform risk analysis. We will see this one. So this is the monitor role which we require. After that, common GRC role, star GRC star, and assign the common GRC roles. Those are power user, base role, business user, display, and NWBC. These are the things I have to execute here and save the details. Okay. Now, what have to we do? What is the activity we have to do after creating a owner ID in SU01? What is the next step we have done while creating the risk owner? Anyone? What is the next step we have done after creating a risk owner in SU01?
Creating mitigation ID.
No? So we have created a risk owner, right? Previously. So we have
Yes,
created firstly in SU01. Later we have performed next step. What is that
NW,
step and where? Yes, exactly. We
NWBC.
have to update the owner IDs in NWBC. Whenever you create any owner ID, you have to update them in NWBC. So come to NWBC, go for setup, go for the access owners, access control owners. So both mitigation owner and monitor are considered as a owners only. So whoever ID having access for other user, those users are called as the owners. Okay. So both the owner and the monitor are having control on other IDs. So both of them are the owners only. So create the owner ID. So just select the Krishna star and select. So firstly, I am selecting the mitigation owner. Okay. just scroll down and select the mitigation owner. So mitigation approver you can use. So mitigation approvers are assigned to control and are responsible for approving the changes to control definition and assignment. Okay. So mitigation owner for Air India project. Okay. Save the details. Now repeat the same activity for the mitigation monitor also. Browse the data and select the mitigation monitor ID. So this is the mitigation monitor ID. Execute this one and select the mitigation monitor or assigned to control monitor activities and may also receive control monitor as alerts. So mitigation monitor for Air India for Air India and save these details here. Okay, close this one. So, what is the next activity we have to perform is so in the mitigation process, we have to update the owner details in organizational unit also. That's one of the additional step. So whenever we create the owners, those details must be updated in the organization unit. So what we have to do is just open the organizations in this way and select the organization that is Tata Group and go for the open option. So instead of core one, use the child one. You can use anything. So open the Tata Motors and here go for the owners column. Here we will be having a tab called owners. Go for it and here go for add a row option. So firstly, browse for the name. So what is the owner ID? That is mitigation owner ID. So mitigation monitor was selected. It's okay. So select the mitigation owner ID. So in this way. Next one, assign the mitigation monitor. Both the owner IDs must be, both the owner and the monitor should be assigned or selected here in this way. Okay. So owner and the monitor. So two things we have assigned here and save the details. So let me once check this one. Owner only added, monitor not added. I have given a spelling mistake. That's fine. That's what I said. Always go and select in this way only. MITM. So select. So save the details in this way. So organization unit updated successfully. You can check now. So both the owners are now updated and are ready for use here. So this is the primary task which we have to do. So what you can do is I think up to here the practical part is good enough. So you have enough practical to do. So tomorrow what we will be doing is assignment. Assigning the organization to control unit, control ID, assigning the owner to control ID, assigning the monitor to control ID. And once again, we perform the risk analysis. Okay, repeating. Once again, we perform the risk analysis, and whatever risk we find out, we are going to mitigate them. Okay, this is the task which we are going to perform. Whatever risk we find out, we are going to mitigate them, followed by the risk stimulation and audit reports. So these are the tasks which we are going to perform in the next session. So up to this, if anyone having any doubts, you can ask me now. So any one of you? So
It's clear,
firstly,
sir.
So, firstly, did everyone perform the yesterday's practical part or it is remaining?
It's pending.
So, hope so everyone
I
are
will do it.
doing the, yeah, not only you, everyone. So hope so everyone are doing the practicals up to date. So if in one point of time you get any error, just simply take a photo with your mobile and drop me in the group. So I can understand what exactly is the problem. Because when you try to explain me this is the issue, this is the task I am unable to perform, I may or may not understand. But if I see the screenshot where exactly you have stopped your practical, I may understand it. Okay? Right. Right, everyone. So I think we can end the session. So no more doubts, right? Right, everyone.
No,
And
sir.
right.